so we can get the statement started.
Ladies and gentlemen, good day. Thank you for attending this media briefing. As in other parts of the world, immigration has taken a center stage in the life of our nation. On the global stage, immigration has proven to be an emotive and contentious issue. It has been used to divide global citizens with the view that it poses a serious threat and socio-economic challenge to receiving countries. South Africa is not unique in this regard. Many countries are wrestling with anti-immigrant sentiments. Its manifestations may be seen in some of the issues affecting communities and are discernible also in the issues exploited to perpetrate criminal activities. South Africa is not unique in this regard. This is to a large measure a complex and delicate matter. Reckless abandonment of the core values of Ubuntu will only lead us into a clumsy and irresponsible reaction. We must respond in a humane and lawful manner, taking into cognizance the genuine frustrations of our communities, while remaining mindful of tempers likely to spark violence and other acts of criminality. There will be no progressive and sustainable victory in xenophobic violence. Opportunistic individuals who partake in it erode the human face we have struggled very hard to acquire. While a more measured approach may not make me the most popular politician, I believe it is the right thing to do. Our democracy enshrines our hard-earned human rights. We are first and foremost humans. This reality cannot be diluted by your country of origin or what documents you hold, or lack thereof. Humanity, within the context of our Constitution, is not only a cultural prescription of Ubuntu, it is also about legal compliance and respect for rights of all persons. Law and order are therefore critical factors when we talk about migration. We must address matters raised by communities within the legal framework, while ensuring at all times they also raise matters within the confines of the law. Unfortunately, xenophobic violence is not new in South Africa. The country first experienced xenophobic violence in 2008 with attacks on foreign nationals mainly in Gauteng and the Western Cape. The 2008 attacks were investigated by the South African Human Rights Commission. According to the South African Human Rights Commission, among the reasons for the violence were the following. 1, poor relations between local residents and key officials dealing with informal settlements. 2, corruption and indifference of leaders. 3, police unable to deal with the attacks. And 4, capacity problems for those providing effective remedy and promotion of access to justice. In 2015, another wave of attacks was seen in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. It was sparked by a labor dispute over the employment of foreign nationals at the Kwajina store in Isipingo. Among the recurring themes had been the contestation over scarce resources in a climate of unemployment, poverty, and other socio-economic challenges. Currently, in 2017, there are renewed incidents of violence against foreign nationals in Rosettenville and Pretoria West. There are also communities agitating against foreign nationals. In this regard, a protest march is planned for the 24th of February 2017 in the Pretoria CBD by the Mamelodi concerned residents. Disgruntlement raised by communities is around competition for jobs, access to economic opportunities, and alleged criminal activities involving foreign nationals, including amongst those drug peddling and prostitution, as well as the hijacking of houses. I have met with protest organizers and have appealed to them to express themselves responsibly. government responded speedily to the latest outbreak of violence. We have directed all security officials to be visible in communities and to objectively deal with criminality, regardless of whether it is committed by a South African or a foreign national. We led a government delegation with the Gauteng MEC for community safety to Rosettenville on Monday, 13 February, to make sure that law enforcement agencies are responding to issues raised by communities and to encourage dialogue between communities and authorities. Arrests have been made, among others, for alleged drug peddling and acts of public violence. We called for visible and effective policing precisely because failure to respond would be irresponsible in the extreme, as it would serve further to fuel tensions among communities. We called for compliance with the Constitution and other laws of the Republic and deportation of those who are undocumented. This message to act responsibly has been this message to act responsibly had been conveyed also to those who are undocumented. Forgive me for this. But this message to act responsibly had been conveyed also to business in the country, starting with those in the hospitality sector, pointing to the folly and dangers of failing to comply with the laws of the Republic. Business is a critical partner in managing anti-immigrant sentiments, and more will be expected of them. In many cases, business incentivizes irregular migration, and those contributing to questionable labor practices must also be held to account. It is far easier and convenient for some to target desperate and vulnerable migrants than the unscrupulous employers who deliberately fuel tensions in the labor market. It is easier and convenient to target dwellers of run-down buildings than irresponsible buildings owners. In this regard, a paradigm shift has been adopted. We will now target unethical businesses that employ illegal practices. Government is working with business on these issues to ensure compliance, employment of locals, and harmonious relationships desired for development, economic growth, and empowerment of citizens. This work started before Rosettenville. As explained, businesses are a critical factor in some of these challenges. They should not fuel tensions, playing locals against foreign nationals, but should be on the side of the law. Our laws have been designed precisely to ensure that such tensions between locals and foreign nationals are managed in a regulated manner. We have a commitment of the hospitality sector on the need to comply with South Africa's labor and immigration laws, especially the requirement to employ a minimum 60% of local people. This is the message we are taking to the rest of business and will feature strongly in our upcoming meetings. There will be workplace inspections and penalties for employing undocumented foreign nationals to be exposed. We are making inroads also in this respect. A total of 63 people who were employed by the SPA without documented were arrested at the 3 SPA supermarkets. Of these, 19 females are detained at Pretoria North SAPS, and 36 males plus 9 females are detained at Camille Drift SAPS. The breakdown of these arrests is as follows: 19 females and 28 males arrested at Montana Spa, and the manager was charged. 6 females and 9 males were arrested at Zambezi Spa. The manager will be charged. 1 arrest at Dawnport Spa. Here, the manager was not available. I have directed my office to set up a meeting with the management of SPA to discuss labor issues. Government is deeply concerned about outbreaks of violence which may result in loss of life and/or damage to property. This is why Cabinet has firmly pronounced on this matter and has expressed full support to ourselves and the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster to move speedily in resolving these issues to the satisfaction of communities. Plenty of work has been done to improve our management of migration, and this is not a mere knee-jerk reaction to sporadic xenophobic violence. We have been diligently and perhaps quietly improving our management of migration. Our measured rhetoric on our immigration work is a deliberate attempt at avoiding populism that may be misconstrued and fuel tensions. We communicated our interventions and approach to Mayor Mashaba. I directed the DDG of Immigration to be available to the Mayor following our first meeting. I pressed upon him the importance of allowing our technocrats to do the work without the sensationalism we politicians may bring to the issue. While I have been critical on the approach, I must commend him for his more measured statement condemning xenophobia. While we have different approaches, I am confident that none of us wants to be responsible for any public violence or loss of life. I hold the view that we can better manage migration in a humane and responsible manner. It is important for the Department of Home Affairs and law enforcement agencies to understand the matters raised and make communities aware of how we are tackling them. I will share with you interventions we have undertaken since 2008. We have documented through the Zimbabwe Special Permit and the Lesotho Special Permit dispensations those who are in South Africa without documentation. This is helping in knowing who is in the country. As a result of the special dispensation, it is possible to get to higher levels of documentation in the country. Documentation also reduces the possibility of labor exploitation and abuse, which in turn facilitates fairness in the labor market. We have made improvements at Marabastad Refugee Reception Center, now called the Desmond Tutu Refugee Reception Center. This was to combat corruption and bribery. And we are also turning the tide against those people who are not supposed to go to the center as they burden the asylum system. President Jacob Zuma launched the Desmond Tutu Refugee Reception Center on Friday, the 17th of February, thus opening to the world its cutting-edge technology, featuring an automated booking system that's already transforming the way South Africa receives and processes asylum applications, with less queues and extremely constrained breath line for bribery, fraud, and corruption. We have initiated a comprehensive review and development of a new policy on international migration to replace the outdated 1999 white paper. A new white paper is being finalized and will be presented to Cabinet in March 2017. This is a bold move forward. Bearing in mind timelines for completing the legislative process, we have taken the Refugee Amendment Bill to Parliament. Its benefits are to ensure protection of genuine asylum seekers and to curb the exploitation of the system by economic migrants who capitalize on loopholes in the legislation. We have initiated the establishment of a border management authority for coordinated, secure, and efficient management of the borderline and ports of entry. It is important to move beyond stumbling blocks and speedily establish this integrated border management authority. Our department, in regard to the border management authority, will be guided by the decision of Cabinet. We will further be pushing aggressively to have capacity boosted and systems developed, including in immigration management services. This is an issue we are raising with the Portfolio Committee and the National Treasury. The capacity of the inspectorate unit is far too low, with only 750 inspectors nationally, compared to the City of London in the United Kingdom, which has 3,000 inspectors. The inspectorate has to ensure persons in South Africa are correctly documented, reside in the country on a lawful basis, and acquire documents and status lawfully. It has standardized systems relating to detention, detection, and deportation of illegal foreign nationals. A total of 33,339 people were deported during the 2015-2016 financial year. We are working with the police to synergize resources. We have worked closely with the Interministerial Committee on Migration, established after the 2015 incidents and chaired by the Minister in the Presidency, Minister Jeff Radebe. IMC intervention strategies have included intensive crime combating and prevention operations planned and executed in all provinces, targeted at hotspot areas. These operations were interdepartmental in nature. They focused, amongst others, on illicit drug trafficking and contraband, undocumented immigrants, human trafficking and prostitution, hijacking and illegal occupation of buildings, unlicensed businesses, illegal firearms, and management of RDP houses. I have listed the work our government is doing to better manage migration. I seek to dispel the sensational narrative that government is doing nothing. Migration matters should be handled delicately. Members of the public must be responsible, not to undo the work we are doing. We are of the view that the implementation of the strategic framework of the IMC on migration is still relevant, and if implemented, would help prevent outbreaks of attacks on foreign nationals as it goes to the root cause of the violence. The dynamics of migration, crime, drugs, prostitution, fraud, and unfair labor practices are too serious to be turned into populist politicking. It is important always to be careful in the narratives we push in the public space. A democratic state bears the responsibility to save lives and to protect rights of persons. I wish to appeal to all South Africans to desist from rhetoric or actions that are xenophobic. I also want to commend the many responsible South Africans who have been a living testament to Ubuntu and tolerance. South Africa is amongst the most diverse countries in the world. We are a host to multiple nationalities from the world and most especially the African continent. I reject any insinuation or assertion seeking to cast us as mere xenophobes. We have challenges. South Africa remains the most diverse country on the continent and is by many measures a beacon of tolerance and human rights. I have also been made aware of sound clippings as well as photoshopped pictures that are circulating both within our country and in other countries on the African continent. I wish to deny categorically that those are authentic. They have been photoshopped, as I say, and the sound clippings is clearly the work of somebody who seeks to cultivate hysteria in our country, to incite our public, as well as to drive fear among the foreign nationals, both those within the country and abroad. South Africa and the South African government will continue to do all in its power, working together as the security cluster to combat public violence, to ensure that xenophobia is dealt with, but above everything else, to continue to respond positively and genuinely to the concerns of South Africans. It remains our view that those who commit crime must not be profiled according to nationality, but we should deal with those committing crime, whatever their country of origin, as criminals and alleged criminals, according to what our constitution and laws prescribe. Thank you very much.